Hello, how is everyone doing? Time for Take Action Challenge number 25, and this one is going to be dealing with shame. So, we're returning to the theme of shame and vulnerability. This one is going to be dealing with shame. It's going to be 5 tips or strategies to deal with shame. And there's also the challenge itself is to choose one of those tips and write about it, or at least go through it in your head and see if it helps with your shame. And of course, you can choose all of those tips as I have done just to run through the exercise. So, getting started with shame, the first thing to do is to slow down and become aware. So, of course, we know we just take a deep breath, slow down, feel the shame, feel where it's happening in our bodies. If it's in our heart, our chest area, our stomach, feel where you feel this shame and try to then figure out what's going on in the inside. What is causing this shame? Why are you feeling it? So for this one, I put down, I'm in the shame pit. And of course, you can acknowledge that you're in a pit of shame. I'm in the shame pit now. When I think about or hear about someone finding out about this side of me, so doing these videos, when I think about certain people from my past friends, people I grew up and went to school with, my family, and also my work colleagues. A lot of these people, I wouldn't be comfortable, or feel ashamed if they found out about this material. Now, of course, people have found out that I thought I'd feel shame, and I have felt a bit of shame, but it was always positive. It was no big deal. But still, that don't change the fact that I do feel some shame when I am thinking about, some of the thoughts run through your head. Oh, what if this guy at work found out about it and spread it around, and you get mocked and that type of thing. So there's this little bit of embarrassment, this little bit of shame, this little bit of fear that goes through your head. So when this happens, of course, I can feel tense. I can feel a little bit of tightness in my chest. It can hold me back from opening up on these videos, so I don't get to share as much, because in the back of my head somewhere I'm thinking, if these certain people found out about this, I don't want to embarrass myself. I'm going to hold back. I'm going to put up a wall. That is one tip. What is number 2? Talk to your inner critic. Talk to this inner voice that's putting you down, your negative thoughts, if you will, your inner critic. Acknowledge that you hear him. So for me, I said, my inner critic is saying to me, don't do this. Don't share this. Jim will think that you're foolish, an idiot, or silly for sharing this kind of stuff. And then I can address this with my inner critic. I can say, really? Really, inner critic? Jim will think I'm foolish? Are you sure that's the case? And if he do, is it the end of the world? Is it really that big of a deal if Jim sees this and thinks I'm foolish? What does that say about Jim? That type of thing. So I can have this back and forth discussion with my inner critic and challenge some of those things, because the inner critic is just trying to protect me in one way and keep me from getting hurt and feeling a deep sense of shame or embarrassment. But sometimes when I can talk to and reason things out, I can see that what I felt as shame may be something from the past, but now I can handle these shameful or embarrassing moments, because it's not really as shameful as I think. I'm kind of portraying something from the past and putting a bit of shame on it today in a situation that's more open, more vulnerable, yet not really anything to be ashamed about. That's 2. Let's move on to number 3. Number 3 is about getting curious. What rule or rules did I break? So looking at number 3 for me, getting curious about the rules I broke. What's going on here? What rules do I think I broke? So one rule is these people, in other words, work people, past people, family people, a certain group of people can't see this side of me. If they do, it's bad, which of course is not a great rule. Who cares if they see this side? It's not the end of the world. They might even respect me and open up to me more if they actually seen this side of me, because I have that mask on again and I don't allow them to see the inner me. So sharing that has been great. Why can't I share that with family, friends, workmates? And just an aside, I do find I share that a little bit more now. So this stuff all helps and it bleeds over into the other stuff as well. So where are we at? We're at number 4, I do believe. Reclaim your integrity. So this one, we clean it up and we learn something and apologize depending on the situation. So if you feel ashamed because you flipped out at your partner, you can say I'm sorry for that. You can get the lesson out of it, clean it up and learn something. You're less likely to do it the next time. But for my situation right here, let me just see my handy journal. So clean it up and reclaim your identity. Hey, you are a good person. You're just being vulnerable. If they see it, it's no big deal. You are not breaking any rules. You're not breaking any laws. And I learned that being open and honest is a good thing, not a bad thing. I also tell the inner critic, sorry, my little inner critic pal, I'm going to have to override you on this one because I want to be able to do these things and get my message out there, feel better myself, and hopefully help others feel better as well. And then number 5, the last one, is to complete and move on. In other words, to let it go. So for this one, when this comes up again, I will just accept it. It's just the inner critic talking. I can let it go and I can post away. So I'm not going to let the inner critic keep me from sharing these videos, challenging my confidence, challenging my old rules that the inner critic has established long time ago when I was just a young wee lad. Now we are going to challenge that, get out there, break a few rules and try to share and try to grow and try to be vulnerable and try to feel our shame and not be afraid of shame and vulnerability. So that's it. Deal with shame. Please respond. How do you deal with your shame? Can you use one of these tips to help deal with your shame, or all 5? Post, do your own challenge, do something else. Whatever you do, get out there and deal with your shame.